Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In this episode, we're going to continue our ongoing coverage of the civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. So we're going to backtrack several days. So if we take a look at the news and information that was coming out of the region roughly 7 days ago. Even before that, many days before that, even, we were continuing to hear about a very significant buildup of abieist loyalist forces that were using Desse, Kombolcha, and the areas north and west of there as a staging area for a possible offensive operation that would look to advance north and reclaim areas of the Amhara region that have been taken by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And specifically, the goal of this operation appeared to be a move towards Weldia, thus seizing Weldia, possibly further west, seizing control of Gashina, and then possibly working their way up and eventually taking back the rest of the areas that are currently under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And we continue to hear about ongoing buildups. We continue to see vast mobilizations or reported mobilizations of within the Amhara region, within the capital of Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne itself. And again, this was widely publicized in terms of the amount of personnel that were joining the military or paramilitary organizations that exist, and we continue to see a fairly significant buildup that was occurring in Desse, Kombolcha, and areas in this environment. Now, with that being said, we had also seen earlier moves by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to press south and threaten Kombolcha and Desse, and at the same time we were seeing Desse and Kombolcha being fortified by these Amhara militias, by the Ethiopian military, to prevent their fall. It would have been an incredibly significant blow to the Abiy regime if one or both of these cities had fallen to the Tigrayan Defense Forces. So we set the stage for where we're at now, and then within the last 7 days, this Abiy loyalist offensive was launched. Started with the use of air power, utilizing dumb bombs and rockets, possible use of drones as well. But that offensive has since stalled in some areas. Other areas, it would appear to be, or reported it as, it may be seeing some gains, and I'll talk about those gains here in a little bit, if they are in fact gains. Very hard to say at this moment. But again, and as I talked before, we will see wild swings in momentum at times within this conflict. And I think we're seeing that now. Again, we saw this buildup in the vicinity of Desse, Kombolcha, and these forces, in fact, attempted to press north and were met, as I had said before, with blistering resistance. Some of these units have been enveloped and destroyed in zone. There have been columns that have been ambushed and destroyed, and equipment seized and taken. And it would appear right now, we were observing an initial very large-scale offensive by the Abiy loyalists, by the Ethiopian federal government to press north. And again, that would seem to have stalled. But then at the same time, we have started to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces start to maneuver, start to do what they have done in the past, such as some of the operations that took place in the Tigray region, in the Tembian, when those areas, when Tigray was liberated by the Tigrayan Defense Forces and drove those forces of the Abiy regime out of the Tigray region. So again, kind of the same thing we're seeing now in terms of these forces being able to maneuver. And right now, it would appear from the intel that we have, there is significant concern within the high command of the Ethiopian federal government, the Abiyist loyalists that are operating within the vicinity of Dessie and Kombolcha, that in fact Kombolcha could be threatened by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And we could be seeing a possible move again, and we've seen this before, and again, it was not successful, in which we did not see the TDF take control of Kombolcha or Dessie, but indeed it was threatened, and indeed now it would appear that that Dessie and Kombolcha are indeed threatening or are threatened by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and there's talk that a possible advance by the Tigrayan Defense Forces is imminent. It could be occurring very soon, especially near Kombolcha. There appears to be quite a bit of disarray within the Abiy loyalist regime armies that are operating near Kombolcha. There's also issues going on with the relationship between the federal forces, those Abiy loyalist forces, and the Amhara paramilitary forces. Again, there has been conflict between those sides about whether to vacate certain positions or stand and fight. And again, that appears to be raising its head. I will say that for the Tigrayan Defense Forces to seize control of Kombolcha and possibly Dessie, it is a tough nut to crack. Again, we're looking at a significant amount of forces that have been deployed in this area. Again, obviously these forces are some of these forces, or many of these forces are not well trained, have not had significant training. They are not very well equipped, and very many of these units are not very well motivated as well. Now that usually shows itself during offensive operations. And clearly, we have seen that any offensive operation within this area by the federal forces, by the Amhara forces, have been brutally met with a swift resistance by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and they simply have not been able to proceed in this area. Now, on the defensive, possibly in an urban built-up area, and especially the areas around Dessie and Kombolcha, there are a lot of terrain features, a lot of hills, mountains, areas that can be used as strong points, as fortified strong points. So again, an incredibly tough nut to crack by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Unsure if that will actually happen, but I can say this: if the city of Kombolcha, if possibly Dessie were to fall, either or, it would be an incredibly strategic blow to the federal government in Addis Ababa. It would be an incredible blow to the Abiy regime. It would be an incredible blow to the Amhara region itself, and something that could possibly start the stages for the ending of the conflict. If the TDF is able to seize control of Kombolcha and Dessie, possibly keep it, then the likelihood of a successful counter operation by the Abiy loyalists would be put into significant doubt at this time. But that has not happened yet. Will it happen? Will we see a possible joint operation with the Oromo Liberation Army and the Tigrayan Defense Forces in some way moving towards Kombolcha and seizing control of Kombolcha? We could. It is possible. We are continuing to hear chatter that that relationship is in fact growing stronger in terms of those forces acting jointly and in tandem against the Abiy loyalists. But again, that has not quite happened yet in any significant manner. But again, it is absolutely not ruled out. But again, right now, the Bay Area of the fighting is around Kambalcha, or northeast of Kambalcha, and then obviously Dese is being threatened again from the vicinity of Hike, this area. So again, when the operation kicked off 7 days ago, in terms of this Abiy loyalist operation, the Ethiopian Federal Army, as some like to call it, that was moving north from the vicinity of Dese north, it was a simple uh, fact that they were eventually going to seize Mersin and possibly move into Waldea, but that has not happened. They have met with stiff and stifling resistance and have not been able to proceed on that front. Now, with that being said, we're hearing things coming out on the Gashina front that would indicate that the Abiy loyalists, the Amhara militias, have made gains in the vicinity of Arbit and are pressing towards Gashina. There's even chatter coming out of some Amhara media that, in fact, the Abiy loyalists, the Amhara militias, may have in fact seized control of Gashina. Now, we have seen this time and time again. We cannot just outright report that Gashina has fallen to said force, because we have seen that before, and we have seen it switch hands several times, and it's possible that there currently are a lot of resources with the TDF focusing on Dese and Kambalcha, and a holding garrison has been positioned in the vicinity of Gashina in these areas. And that could obviously quickly change with reinforcements being called in. The areas north of Gashina are areas that the Tigrayan Defense Forces love to operate in. They would be able to set gun emplacements up on these terrain features and engage forces coming up the B-22 highway that are moving in a northeasterly direction towards Gashina. And we know now that the TDF does in fact possess artillery, anti-tank guided weapon systems, rocket systems that could be utilized to blunt a possible move against Gashina, or in fact retake Gashina if necessary. But again, we'll monitor this area as the fighting continues. But that is the information for today. I hope everyone has a great day, and we will be rejoining you soon. Have a good day, everybody.